Here are the horoscopes for the week of the 22nd to the 28th of July 2019. We have so much going on at the moment, and I know we're all feeling it. It's a very intense time to be alive. We had Neptune turn retrograde at the summer solstice, taking us deeply inwards, and we're filtering everything that we've learnt through this life, through past lives, to be able to bring up and release anything that's dead weight, that's heavy baggage, so that we can live lighter and freer and more centered lives. This is happening on a daily basis with different aspects. So we begin the week with Venus opposite Pluto. And I feel this will bring up our relationship with ourselves, where we've given away our power, where we can be powerful in connections with others because we can find our own integral power deep within. So Venus is our earth heart. It's what we love, how we love on this plane, things that we value. And Pluto is the alchemist that raises from base to crown, that takes the lower frequencies and raises them up to the higher. So relationships with ourselves and with others are rebalanced by this opposition, which happens once a year, so that we can bring ourselves back into harmony. But this is done through our own power, through our own accepting of our own power, and a retrospective to see where we have not recognised our power, where we've left it by the wayside, or where we've been too dependent or reaching out to others when we should have been centred and finding our core strength. So in order to have honourable contracts with others, we need to honour ourselves first. And this goes against a lot of what we're taught when we're growing up, but very much with that Neptune retrograde as well, pulling everything back inwards, bringing ourselves back to wholeness, and there's still a sense of soul retrieval if we do take a journey back through our lives to recollect and to recollect parts of ourselves that we've given away or forgotten to honour. We're also in the Mercury retrograde, and on Sunday today, Mercury is going back to meet with the Sun in Cancer. One of the main themes of this retrograde is that Mercury is the processing mind, the conscious mind, and Cancer is the deep subconscious mental emotional waters. And in a retrograde, we must stay aware of things that are coming up, revelations that pop into our awareness, and to use our conscious mind like the sword of truth to cut through some of the cellular baggage that we've picked up, some of the stories, the habitual beliefs, things that are hanging around in the cells of our body, to go in and inspect the perspective, the thought, the belief, the habit, the pattern, in order that we can cleanse those waters. So with Mercury going back to meet the Sun, there's a golden ray of potency in this process. It's almost like the crown of the retrograde, where the subconscious waters, we can't normally see into them because they're subconscious, but with a Mercury retrograde we can stop long enough to actually see what comes up and then see what that represents. That's the way that we can deal with the subconscious. Things come up in our day-to-day lives, as within, so without. Anything that appears on the outside we're actually attracting to us to learn from. So if we can be philosophical and take the approach, what does this represent? What did I want to learn from this? Then we can take that awareness, we can cut through, and we can start to make the necessary changes. So a very cleansing, healing, piercing, surgical aspect here, if we can align our mind to do the deep inner work on ourselves rather than getting distracted with others or blaming the outside scenario on randomness or victimhood, but to accept that we're powerful enough to be incisive and decisive and make these healing cuts. So a weekend based on relationship with self, relationship with others, and where that's actually coming to us from deep within. Regressing through our relationship history, to forgive ourselves, to forgive others, to heal the story and to leave the past baggage behind. We'll see us coming out clear and bright at the end of this process. By Monday, the Sun is in the last day of Cancer, getting ready to step into home sign Leo by Tuesday. And there's a real feeling of generosity here, being a spiritually high vibration. Cancer has the tendency to close down and protect itself if it feels threatened on the outside, but as we've gone through this workshop of realising that the outside is being attracted to us from the inside, we can afford to open up and embrace the vibration of generosity, to give and receive freely, and to know that there's enough for everyone. So have a look at your tendency for self-protection. If you close down, if you cut off, then is that ever really effective, or is that just a defense mechanism? And how does it feel like to step into freedom and acceptance and flow? Because by Tuesday the sun moves into Leo, and having done a lot of this cleansing, we're now ready to follow our excitement. All of our recent experiences have been making room for fresh new energy to flow in, but we do need to be open in order to be able to receive it. So Leo is the lion, and lions have courage, and Ker is the heart. That's where courage comes from. So our workshop through the sign of Leo is to connect with the heart, and we're also working with the solar centre as well. So to capture the warmth at this time of year, to stand strong and tall. Have a go at pointing those energy centres in your body upwards, rather than allowing your body to cave inwards like the Cancerian protective shell. See if you can put your shoulders back, point those solar centres upwards, and stand bold and tall, taking up your space, radiating and amplifying that warmth. So by the end of the week, we've got a week to go until the retrograde finishes, and this has been working on the very fabric of our being. It's to heal the mind, to mend cellular damage from the stories that we've picked up, and to restructure us back to our essential nature. It's been very key that we're working opposite Saturn here, which is saying come home to your strong and flexible core. Many people speak badly of retrogrades, but without them we'd stray far from home, so they're always an opportunity to come home, to readdress, to recalibrate, and to reconnect with our integrity and our dignity. Because Mercury rules the mind, this requires thinking differently, a retrospective, revisiting, changing patterns and breaking habits, especially in the sign of Cancer. So there are two emotional states, expanded and contracted. This is the Cancerian way. With Mercury retrograde in the ebb and flow ocean of emotion that is Cancer, we can observe our mental emotional waxings and wanings without getting involved in the story, to see whether they're real or whether they're an illusion. So that really is the key of this Mercury retrograde in Cancer, to be able to rise above the story of our mind, of our emotions, to bring things up from the subconscious, but to be the observer and to actually challenge whether our memories and our perceptions are actually real, whether we've picked up and personalised stories in our lives that weren't actually happening that way, that didn't actually mean that, and therefore stop taking things personally, to let go, to forgive, to release, and to move on. Then by the weekend we've got Mars trine Jupiter. That's Mars in a grand harmonic with Jupiter. So Mars is where we take our soul force energy and direct it upwards, and Jupiter is our expansive sovereignty. So very golden energy here in Leo as we stand strong and tall, breathe deeply into the energy of our body, expand it, amplify it, and celebrate our power. And this goes really well with the beginning of the week where Venus was opposite Pluto, teaching us how to alchemize and raise up our heart vibration. And by Sunday, Venus moves into Leo. So we're moving very gently from the sign of Cancer into the sign of Leo, with the Mercury retrograde as a go-between, as a messenger, completing this part of the journey, clearing out space, reconnecting with our majesty. And as we go into the next few weeks, I feel that there's a promise that we can make to ourselves. So on Sunday, have a look at completing this sentence. From this day forward, I promise myself that I. What do you promise yourself? Because one of our greatest fears in life is that we'll go through an experience and then we'll just drop back into it later, we'll forget. But sometimes when we work with the subconscious waters, it's about imprinting a new way of being on them. So if we actively ritualize something or make ourselves a promise, or give ourselves permission sometimes, then this marks a point in space and time that's memorable, that we can hold on to when we're in fear of going back into how we used to be. We can revisit that moment and renew our promise. So it's almost like getting married to ourselves and renewing our vows. So what's your vow going forwards, having walked between the eclipses, listened to the messenger that is Mercury retrograde, gone deep within with Neptune, and now stepping out onto the sunny shores of Leo to raise your power to stand proud, tall and strong, then this day is a declaration of how you intend to be from now on. So another complex week there, very much building on the energy of the last few weeks, retrieving ourselves, rinsing off the past, standing in our power and making room for greater energetics to come in. I have a soul retrieval reading if you're interested in doing this personally and having a look at your soul plan birth chart to see where this is happening for you. We can take you back through your life, see what you've picked up, and help you recollect parts of yourself and let go of the fake personality and the parts that were never you, the false perceptions and beliefs that have built patterns that are occurring in your life right now. So this is a very powerful reading. It does involve a meditation and a drum journey as well, so it's very visceral, but I feel it's the most appropriate thing that we can do for ourselves during this retrograde and at this point of the year. So please do contact me if you're interested in that or any other reading. My email is zoehines7@gmail.com. My Facebook is @astrozo. Instagram, zoehines7. Post daily on those formats. And my website is www.astrozo.com. So those are horoscopes for this week, and I'll see you next week.